Hey, it's George again. We're here at Packedge with Nick Phillips. Now, Nick, I've known of your company, and it's the cool stuff with doing audio and video over networks, but it's not quite that. It's more.
Well, Packedge really focuses on the AV integrator and providing that enterprise AV network to manage the specific needs of an AV environment that the traditional IT products and companies can't really provide. So that's where Packedge comes in. Not only provide the hardware, such as routers, switches, access points, and power distribution units as the foundation, but it's really the technology and then our cloud managed services that wrap that AV experience into a managed service and an all-in-one AV network solution.
All right, so you take me through some of the specifics. We have software, we have some hardware. Where do I start?
So we always start with the hardware. So you start at the gateway, which is the router, and then as you propagate through the network, you've got switches, depending on unmanaged, managed. Our new X series line for the high-end, AV-centric, PoE, non-PoE. So whatever the application calls for. And then from there, there's always Wi-Fi involved. So we have these devices, we have Android devices, and touch panels.
Are you dual band? Are you specific?
Of course. And we've got AC products that will be coming out in the next few months to accommodate higher data rates over Wi-Fi. So there's that portion of it. And there's also the power distribution side of things. So power is not just power anymore. We can add intelligence and a level of more smart power to the network. And now that we have IP enabled, we can really make the power more useful from an IP standpoint.
All right, so smart power in what terms?
It's controlling.
Okay.
So it's about scheduling. It's about power cycling through iOS or Android devices.
Sort of remote management of it, alerts if something's on too late.
And also auto pinging or auto self-healing. So if you're pinging IP devices, you can actually, if it doesn't respond, the system is smart enough to know to reboot that device automatically, so you don't even have to get involved.
Okay.
So that's the hardware level. So after you have that foundation, that's great, but we take it one step further and we wrap that into a cloud managed service that can not only manage but provide the monitoring, but it also provides the alerts for a fault or if the device is offline or if it's unhealthy. And then once we receive that alert via iOS or Android or through the web app, then we can actually go into the network through the cloud application without having to VPN or port forward in. You can go right in using these common devices that is not typical for an IT VAR or IT installation.
And what devices can I talk to and control? Is there a list? Is there
any IP device? So especially if it has a web interface through port 80, then I can actually show you how that happens on this right here. So.
Okay.
So after we have the hardware, we've got the software that really differentiates us and provides that managed service platform for the custom AV installer, and that's really the big differentiator. So here we have a long list of projects that are online, some are offline, online, but obviously the color indicates the status. So we can obviously go into each one of these directly, and we can check the network health and the status there. So here's just a very basic network. You can see we've got routers, switches, access points, and third-party devices. So obviously you can branch out much larger, but this is just a simple example. So for instance, I mentioned accessing devices through iOS or Android or through the web app, and you can do it very simply. For instance, this is a PoE switch, so I can view the device itself. So this will appear just a basic status page here, where you can see we've got basic system statistics, and what's more important is what we talked about, the device portal. Looks like that one might have went offline. We'll see here. This opens up. So with one click, I'm in the native user interface for that PoE switch. So we can do that with a Dell printer or IP camera. If we can access it through port 80, then we can actually get into that device without having a VPN or port forward into it directly. So very powerful, and you can do that through remotely.
Device.
Yeah. So That's one major feature that managed services really provide very convenient.
Who is this focused on? Is it the AV integrator? Is it the IT department? Is there any difference?
Well, for us, the primary focus is the AV integrator.
Okay.
So they're really in control and they manage all of the AV network, and typically we find that the IT manager of the corporation or the retail location, or whatever, the house of worship, whatever project they're in, they don't really want to be involved with the AV portion of the network. So it's kind of a win-win on both sides. So the AV integrator is really responsible for that AV network, so that they feel in control and they can resolve these issues. So that's really what we designed it for. But it can be used by the traditional IT managers and things.
Right, so yeah, those information white papers, I take it for both.
Oh yeah.
Are there any different levels of access?
Yeah, so there's an administrator level access, and we have technician level access as well. So, and it goes not, we can provide that access from a project base all the way down to a device base, but even as granular as per port access. So, really the technician level 1, you can only, maybe the administrator only wants them to have access to ports 3 or 4.
All right, and what am I seeing on the ports if this was populating?
Oh, this is, these are just there would be VLAN information here as well.
Right, okay.
But let me see here, if I go up, I can actually see, this is a PoE switch. So we would have, we can actually, you would see the type of power, current voltage, you see the network statistics there. You can power cycle or turn the PoE port off completely.
Right.
You'd see the VLAN information as well. So, and of course, this is emulated and replicated in any handheld device as well. So
that's cool. Where else can they find out more information about it?
www.packedge.com. So we've got, you go to the backpack page or the cloud management page, and the backpack there's plenty of information there. And we just released this last week, so we're really excited to get it into the hands of the commercial integrators, and so they can start integrating this into their recurring revenue with service level agreements and managed services.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
All right. Thank you, guys. This has been Packedge for AVNation.